Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into another mix breakdown, and this time around we're working inside of FL Studio, and I'm going to be showing you how I've taken this mix from sounding like this
They told him, don't you ever come around here. Don't wanna see your face, you better disappear. The fire's in your eyes and your words are really clear. So beat it, just beat it.
to sounding more like this.
They told him, don't you ever come around here. Don't wanna see your face, you better disappear. The fire's in your eyes and your words are really clear. So beat it, just beat it.
So let's jump right into FL Studio, and I'm going to show you everything that I did. Let's go. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to turn off every processing that I have going on in the mix so that I can build the mix from scratch and show you everything, how I did it. But first, let's go through the arrangement and see what we have. The first thing that I added on this was this bounce. And I'm using that to, give myself the groove. All of the music is built around this groove. This was the intention that I had. This was what I was going for. And then I used this other shaker loop to just add a little bit more life to it. So from there, I went on to play the chords, and this is what those sound like. Right, so then I went on to add more percussions. I have them here, and this is what they sound like. Then I went on to, flesh out the percussions, and I added these other elements to it. Right, so after that, I believe I added this to it first before adding the bass line. So, but then here is what this sounds like. This is a synth. Yeah, synth brass. And this is what it sounds like. And then I went ahead and layered it with a spiccato string. The spiccato string starts from here, and this is what it sounds like coming into the music. So I'm just using that to emphasize what the synth brass is playing. And then I added this bass line here. This bass line is a combination of multiple different basses. These are like 4 different basses, and I'm just using them I'm just layering them to give me a unique or a specific kind of bass sound. And then here's what they all sound like together. And basically that's what you have. And then here I have some electric guitars giving me that very Michael Jackson feel. So I'm layering 3 guitars to get that effect, using 3 different distortion guitars from Expand as well as Purity. Okay, so then I added this flute sound. right? And then in the later part of the beat, I added this cowbell sound here. So this is what it sounds like by itself. And then the next thing I'm doing is I'm adding these claps to it to just, beef up the groove of the music. So they sound like this by themselves. Right. And that's basically everything that I have. Everything else is just effects and transitions. This is what those sound like. So I'll just bring in everything at once because, they all contribute, they all complement each other. So I'll just play them all at once and they sound like this. And then over here, I really like that part. Okay, so that's all with the instrumental, and then the vocals, they sound like this. So I'll just play the melodies first by themselves.
They told him, don't you ever come around here. Don't wanna see your face, you better disappear. The fire's in your eyes and your words are really clear, so beat it.
So basically, what I have is I have the upper, the melody on like a higher octave, and then the same melody on lower octave to just give that depth and weight to it.
They told him, don't you ever come around here. Don't wanna see your face, you better disappear.
And I've also panned them out, into different parts of the stereo field so that you get that wide widening effect. And then over here, I recorded some harmonies to go with it. The first harmony sounds like this.
Beat it, beat it. No one wants to be defeated.
And then the other harmony sounds like this.
Beat it, beat it, beat it. No one wants to be defeated.
And then at the end of it, these other guys come in. And they all sound like this.
Beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it.
Okay, it sounds a bit confusing or it sounds a bit overwhelming. So let me just play them one after the other to, break down what they sound like.
Beat it, just beat it, just beat it, just beat it.
And then this sounds like this. So it's like a counter movement or a counter motion. I like to do counter motions whenever I'm doing arrangements or compositions.
Beat it, just beat it, just beat it, just beat it.
So you have words flying around in the arrangement and it keeps the listener's ears busy and trying to figure out the pattern and how things are moving around. So it's really interesting to do.
Beat it, just beat it.
So this one is just harmonizing this. So like this is a harmony to this.
Beat it, just beat it, just beat it, just beat it.
And then this guy is serving us like the ear candy.
Beat it, just beat it, just beat it, just beat it.
So by itself sounds like this.
Beat it, oh, just beat it, oh, just beat it, oh, just beat it, oh.
So in a way, it's also harmonizing with the main call line while the others are responding. So everything together now sounds like this.
Beat it, just beat it, just beat it, just beat it.
Yeah, and then all together with the rest of the music. Oh, before then, I have some automations going for the vocals. but maybe we'll get to that later, what I'm doing with these automations right here. Now, how do I have these routed and how am I mixing them? So first off, let me switch to all. I have labeled them. So there's a kick, there's a tom, there's a 808, and these three I'm giving them the color of red. So if you followed my mixing channel and you see how I color code things, especially in Cubase, then you would understand what these colors mean and which particular sound or sound category each of them belong to. So I like to color my drums, especially the low end stuff, that kick, bass, toms, log drums, all of those kinds of instruments that have low end information. I like to color them red. And then every other kind of percussion, I color them this purple. And then for rolls and sound effects, transitions, I like to give them this sort of orangey, yellowish color. And then for for melodic instruments, I give them this color right here. And then for vocals, depending on what they are singing, for melody, I give them green. For female melody, I give them yellow. For altos, I give them this orange. For tenors, I give them blue. So you can see the arrangement. And this other lighter blue is a second tenor. So this is a tenor, and then this is another tenor. But this tenor is ad lib, and this is more like a harmony. So that's why I've given them two different shades of blue. So yeah, now on the mixer, I have them all routed to individual channels on the mixer, but then I'm sending them to buses. So all of the low end stuff, the kick and the tom and the 808s are all going to this bus right here. They're all coming to this bus, this low percussions bus. And then all of these percussions, all of these guys you can see are going to the percussions bus. It's important that we take note of this routing so that you can understand the flow of the chain and all of the processing that I'm doing on them. And then all of these effects are going to the effects bus. And then these are the bass, and they are going to a bass bus, you know, bass synth bus. So I have these guitars going to a separate bus first before going into the melodies bus. Okay, so this e-piano is going into the melodies bus, and then these guitars are going into the guitar bus. These three are going into the guitar bus before, you know, going from the guitar bus into the melodies bus. And then these other guys, the synth brass and then the spiccato strings, are going into the string section, and then from the string section also into the melodies bus. So that's how I've routed things. And then for the vocals, so this is how I am routing them. I have sent all of them to one channel immediately from here, instead of sending them to different mixer tracks or different mixer channels. I have them all going to one channel, since they are all singing the same thing. So I just wanted to treat the channel as a bus straight up, from here. So the only thing that I'm doing on the individual audio events is just panning. You can see I've panned this a little to the left, a little to the right, all the way to the left, all the way to the right. So they are all coming into this channel 34 with their different individual pans. So now I'm using this as the bus. I'm using this channel as the bus to house all of them. And then I'm sending this other three to channel 35, which serves as a bus as well. So the only thing I've done is to, do some panning on them individually. So I'm using these two as buses, and same thing here. Since they're all singing the same thing, there's no point sending them to different mixer tracks, since they're all still going to end up in one and the same bus. So yeah, but this just makes sense to me anyway. So that's how I have things routed. So now let's go to what I'm doing on the processing. So you can see I don't have a lot of processing on the instruments, just on this 808 here, doing some transient processing. You can see I'm just reducing the attack, and then I left the release at the middle so that I don't get that very sharp transient. I'm trying to reduce the attack on the transient, and then I'm using a soft clipper to just tame the excess peaks, and that's it. So this is what it sounds like without the processing. And then with the processing, so you can see I'm not changing the sound in any way. I'm just trying to control the peak of the transient. So you can see how it was higher without the processing, and then the transient is a bit lower in peak level with the processing. And then on this guy, I'm doing some tone shaping. I'm taking away some of the lows and some of the highs, and I'm also doing some soft clipping. This is what it sounds like without that processing. And with it, so that's all I'm doing there. And then here, I'm doing some EQ and I'm sending to reverb. So I'm just trying to control the sound of the cowbell. Just cleaning it up, cleaning the resonating frequencies, dropping the highs a little bit, and then also sending it to reverb. And then here on this whistle, I'm just sending to reverb. There's not much else. On these guys, this is the peck keys. I'm doing some EQ to just clean up the low end, and that's all. I didn't want it fighting with the bass because I didn't want to lose the warmth, but then I didn't want it to extend into the lows. And then the next for the Oja, I'm just sending that to reverb. And then for the spiccato strings, oh no, not that. For the synth brass, I'm just doing some Pro MB, using that to control it because it's a bit too harsh for my liking. So, and I didn't want it to compete so much with the vocals. So I'm just taming the frequency where it's clashing with the vocals. That's between 1.5 and right here 8K. So you can see it's just taming the high mids a little bit. Now to the fun part where we have processing on almost all the channels, the vocals.
They told him, don't you ever come around here. Don't wanna see your face, you better disappear. The fire's in your eyes.
So I'm just cleaning up with the EQ, doing some low cuts, doing also removing some resonances from the low mids and the mids, a little from the mids, and then that's it. And then I'm also sending to tape to give it some tape warmth and tape saturation. And with that, sounds like this.
They told him, don't you ever come around here. Don't wanna. They told him, don't you ever come around here. Don't wanna see your face, you better disappear.
Sounds a lot better. And then I'm doing almost the same thing on the lower octave of the melody. So it sounded like this before.
They told him, don't you ever come around here.
And now,
don't wanna see your face, you better disappear. The fire's in your eyes and your words are really clear, so beat it.
So we're just cleaning up the sound, basically cleaning up the sound. And then I'm also, rebalancing things, as you can see on all of the other instruments too. I'm pulling down faders to kind of create some sense of balance across all of the instruments. Now for the alto part, I'm doing the same thing, EQ tape into all of them. Let's take it to where they're all singing. I'll be right here. So without all of those processing, they sound like this. And with the processing,
no one wants to be defeated.
Sounds a lot better, sounds a lot cleaner. I'm sending them all to the Vox Melody bus. So I've routed all of them to another bus, and on that bus is where I'm doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So this is what it sounds like without any of this processing turned on. And so on that bus, what do I have? EQ to clean up. You can see I'm doing some low cuts and also some resonance reduction, and then I'm using the UAD 1176 to control the peaks, and then I'm using the LA2A to kind of tone shape and just like glue all of the sound together and give it some, extra tightness. And then after that, I'm using this EQ to tone shape and, make them into what I want them to be before sending them off to reverb and delay. So with all of that, this is what it sounds like
No one wants to be defeated.
without,
Showing how fucking strong is your fight.
with.
It doesn't matter who's wrong or right, just beat it.
So yeah, and then from here we have the chorus melody, and this is the chorus melody. I believe that's this guy.
Beat it,
Yeah.
beat it, beat it, beat it.
So for these two, I'm using the same approach. Just clean up the vocals and then run it through tape, give it that tape warmth and tape saturation, and then sending it off to the boss. And then I'm doing the same for this guy here too. Same approach, same ideology, same approach. So this is what they all sound like before.
Beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it.
And I'm not sending this guy to it. I'm treating this guy just by itself, just because it's the ad lib. So I'm treating it like its own boss.
Beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it.
Now with the effects turned on, it sounds like this.
Beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it.
Sounds a whole lot cleaner. And then on the boss, I have EQ, almost same processing I had with the melody. EQ into FET compressor to tame the peaks and control those transients, and then LA2A to kind of tighten everything and glue everything together, and then the SSL channel strip to give me that nice sounding tone that I was going for. And then with all of that, sounds like this
Beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat
from
it, beat
this.
it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it.
And yeah, that's what you get. And then for the ad libs, like I said, I was just treating it by itself. So on its own, it sounds like this.
Beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it.
So I'm cleaning up, sending to tape, controlling the peaks, doing some more cleanup, and then sending to effects. And this is what it sounds like.
Beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it.
And I've pulled it down a little bit so that it tucked away in the background just a little bit. I also rolled off a lot more of the low end so that I don't have it in your face. So I'm using all of that processing to just, push it back in the mix. You can see here, I'm really, really killing the low end and also the high end a little bit so that it's pushed back in the mix. So yeah, for the low pecs, oh yeah, so all of these guys, all of the low guys. So what I'm doing here for those low instruments, sending to tape again for the warmth, for the light saturation, and then decapitator for a little bit more saturation so that it cuts through on like smaller speakers and stuff, and then EQ to kind of tone shape and just clean up some of the resonances a little bit. And then on the percussions bus, I'm just sending to tape, then clipping so that those excess transients don't add up and pile up and make us hit our limiter ceiling too quickly. So I'm using the K clip 3 to control those peaks and just shave them.
Beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it.
You can see the transients shooting up to this level.
Beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it, just beat it, beat it, beat it.
Now with the clipper, I've been able to tame it just a little bit and also pull down the level slightly as well. And then on this guy, I have tape, I have EQ, and then track spacer. So this is the bass thing, and I'm using this. I'm start chaining everything that's in the low percussions to this so that it creates space for itself. in the mix so that the bass doesn't make the low end muddy.
Just beat it, just beat it,
If I turn that on, you see. So let me just turn that on.
just beat it, just beat it, just beat it.
So I'm just trying to make sure that the percussions are well represented in that low frequency and they are not being swallowed up by the bass. And then for the rules and the effects, I'm just doing some transients to just take away some of the attack so that, they are not too spiky. And then on this guitar boss where I have the three guitars, so it sound like this. So I have the three guitars, like I said, one panned dead center and the other two panned all the way to the right and then all the way to the left. And then on the bus where they are going to, I have an EQ, just clean them up. And then I have the capitator to, run a little bit more of that aggression into it. You can see I've pushed up the drive just a little bit. And then I've gone for this style. It appeals to me for what I was going for. And then I'm also using this Pro MB to make sure that the low mid is not muddying up our mix. And then I'm sending that to reverb. So with all of that, sounds like this. From this, so it breathes a new life into those guitars. And then for the strings, I have them going to tape, and then I'm using EQ to clean them up, and then I'm sending them to reverb and delay. So it sounded like this before. And now sounds a whole lot better. And then for all of the melodies boards, I'm just sending them to tape to just glue everything together and make them like really, really full. And then all of that together.
Wanna be tough, better do what you can, so beat it. But you wanna be bad, just beat it. No one wants to be defeated. Showing how fucking strong is your fight. It doesn't matter who's from the.
So after I'd finished with all of the routing and almost like done like about 70 to 80% of the mix, I was listening to the arrangement again and then I added, another row. So that's why I have it all the way here. And then I'm sending the row back into this bus right here. The roll is part of the arrangement. It's just that it came in, much later. So this is the vox delay because I'm only sending vocals to this delay. That's why I have these automations going. So you can see from here, the mix level keeps going up and down so that I'm emphasizing it on words where I want the delay to be more pronounced, and then I'm taking it back or taking it down on words and phrases where, I don't want it to muddy up and clutter the mix. So you can see it going like this, low and then high. So you can see, you hear that come around here repeating. The whole thing is repeating, but some are, way lower than the others.
Don't you ever come around here? Don't wanna see your face, you better disappear. The fire's in your eyes and your words are really clear, so beat it, just beat it.
Right. So now what this is doing is also within the send, I'm also still automating the volume within the send.
Don't you ever come around here? Don't wanna see your face, you better disappear. The fire's in your eyes and your words are really clear, so beat it, just beat it.
So every time I say beat it, beat it, beat it, I want that particular beat it to be a whole lot louder. So that's why in the send plugin itself, I'm automating the volume to go up. Now on this guy, I'm changing the time on the Vox delay. So you can see right here, the time goes from 4. So it's going from quarter notes to eighth notes, and it goes to eighth notes when I'm saying beat it, beat it, beat it. Because before then it's going but when it gets to beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it, it now becomes like, you know, eight notes like that.
I told him, don't you ever come around here. Don't wanna see your face, you better disappear. The fire's in your eyes and your words are really clear. So beat it, just beat it. You better run, you better do what you can. Don't wanna see no blood, don't be a macho man. You wanna be tough, better do what you can. So beat it. But you wanna be bad, just beat it.
So yeah, that's the whole idea behind all of these automations. So I'm just using it to create some high points and low points, you know, and variations, just kind of make the mix interesting. And then for my reverb, I'm using the classic room from IK Multimedia. I enjoy using this reverb sometimes when I do. I really like the sound that it gives. And then I'm just cleaning up the sound before coming into the reverb. So that's pretty much all that I have going on this mix. Very simple mix, but you know, it's the simple things. It's always the simple things that elevate your mixes and takes them from sounding amateur, sounding very boring, to sounding really, really interesting and, you know, radio ready and ready to jam all day long. Thank you very much for sitting with me on this one. And if you enjoyed the video, kindly like it, share, leave me a comment, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.